Hi, and good morning to you. You join me in the garage. I've just took delivery of an Evolution double mitre saw and a stand to go with it. This is to replace my almost retiring 210 saw, again by Evolution. Good little mitre saw. It's got a 210mm blade, only a single bevel cut. The new one is a double bevel, so that will make things slightly easier when I'm cutting things. A little bit extra functionality, if you like. Yeah, the 210 has worked fine up until probably the last couple of weeks, and you may have seen a video where I've had to take the armature out and do a little bit of work on the lathe with it. But the good news, the 210 is functional again, but I'll use that as a secondary saw. I cut pallets and wood up with it largely, although up until now I have been cutting all the metal projects on it. The 255, the new saw, will take over from that. I've got a couple of projects in the cookhouse, so to speak, that will require a bigger cut, a bigger blade, and what this double mitre saw from Evolution is going to do. I could read the spec off the box for you if you wish, but I won't do that. But basically 255mm blade, double mitre, compound mitre action, laser built into it, various clamps, and the benefit now I'll have, instead of using an old roll around trolley that moves when I try to cut projects on it, I've upgraded to a stand that's dedicated for the Evolution saw. So what I'm going to do, I'll set up the camera, we'll do an unboxing and a quick look and see what you get in the box. Right, there you go, it's all laid out. Seems pretty well packed, nothing appears to be damaged. The paint's still where it should be. These were just loose in the box, but they haven't caused any damage to anything. So what I'll do, I'll get out the book of words and the 3-year warranty that comes with it, and get it put together, and we'll have a look when it is all up together. It should be straightforward, a few minutes, and away we go. It's pretty much built. All I got to do is add a couple of brackets in the side stands, and away we go. So we'll get that put together and we'll show you when it's up in one piece. Then we'll get the saw out. That's the bench all together. Very little to do on it. There's just 6 big thumb screws that screw in to the end arms here. There's 1, 2, 3, same the other end. That's for quick adjust of the supports. So you lift this up, tighten the thumb screw to support the work once the saw's on the stand. Should work quite well. Oh, one thing I will point out, during transit, nothing major, but this end plastic cap has got damaged. It got pushed into the tube more than it should be. I knew that because this end piece wouldn't slide over. The other end was fine. This one wouldn't slide over. So I'd take the plastic cap out and give it a bit of a trim up. But that's, if that's all that I'm going to find wrong with it, I'm happy with that. These arms have got to be fitted directly to the saw. We'll get the saw out the box, have a look at that, then fit those to it. They appear to be permanently fitted to the saw, which isn't a problem because I'm always going to be using the stand with a saw. So that should be good. Right, I'll get this bench or the saw stand moved now. Get the saw on the bench, get it unboxed. You can have a look at that, and we'll get these arms on it and give it a test. I thought we'd just have a quick look on the outside of the box, just for information. It says it's a double bevel cut, 45 degree, 45 degree. 3-year warranty comes with it. This type of saw will cut virtually anything. I think you can even get a stone cutting saw blade to go on it. Now I'm not going to do that, that's going to be really, really dusty. I'm going to just keep this to metal largely, but also wood. You get 2 blades with it at the moment. There is a dedicated wood cutting blade and a multi-purpose blade. Multi-purpose blade will cut wood. Maybe the wood cutting blade is more efficient, but you don't want to be cutting through nails with that, otherwise that will spoil your day. Go around the other side of the box. A little bit more information. I'll hold it there for a second so you can zoom in if you wish. Okay, well, let's get it out the box. It is a heavy box. It's over 20 kilos, so be careful if you're moving it around. A little bit heavy get on the bench here, but it was all okay. Doesn't look damaged on the outside. There's no holes or punches. That's something you want to look out for, because although the box may look in good condition, if there's any holes in it, something's entered that box and may mash things up inside. Right, okay, I'll get my knife, we'll get it open and see what we got in the box. It's all laid out on the bench there. Just checking over for damage and such like, but it's very well packed. Get lots of polystyrene and no holes in the box, so I think it survived this journey here quite well. That's a nice little touch. Where the slide-in tubes go for the saw, there's I'm going to say it's a felt pad, but there's a dust shield there to stop the dust and grot and stuff getting into those linear slide bearings. So that's a nice little touch. Go around the back, have a look. There's a table. You got your double bevel Mitre gauges, if you want to call it there, pointers, indicators, that's the word I'm looking for. Just so you can see what angle you get. Now, I don't know precisely how accurate it is, but for what I'm doing here, I work to the nearest millimetre when I'm making things. And I've had closer cuts than that with the old 210 Evolution, so I'm hoping good things for this. So right, I'll get it together. There's a book of words again that come with it. I guess my two blades are in there, so they're not LPs if you know what they are. So yeah, let's slide it all together. Right, we'll get this put together now. With the sliding bars here, one quick thing I've noticed, and it's quite a good design. As this pushes into the saw, you'll see this go into the back stand there. It'll go in like this. Then you mount the saw onto this end. But as you push the saw in, you watch this here. Get a little indent pop up. And that locks a whole saw onto the frame here, onto the sliding bars. Plus there's a couple of grub screws in the side that like a double clamp mechanism. But yeah, I thought that was quite good. So as the saw goes in, it pushes down on that. Out pops a pin. If you want to reset them, you can. Just a matter of pushing the pin in, grabbing hold of a pair of pliers on the end there, and it'll pop out ready to redeploy, so to speak. So right, yeah, let's put this together. There's only a few bits and pieces. You can get this upside down, so be aware of that. Otherwise you'll be pushing this. There are holes in the end of the saw and the side of the saw to push the indents back in, so you can pull the saw off if you have to. So it's not the end of the world if it's upside down, it's just a bit annoying. So right, we'll go to time lapse and get this put together. Right, that's the saw mounted on the stand. Forgive the shaky handwork here, but you're going to be able to see more details this way. Before you fit the saw to the stand, because it's a universal stand, you've got to take the feet off the saw, but it is in the instructions. One thing I would say about the instructions for both the saw and the stand, the pictures they give you in there are very small. There is a video you can go online, so I suppose that's their get out, but the book is almost next to useless, in my opinion, for putting it together anyhow, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, that's it mounted on the stand. You've got outrigger arms on both sides. That'll reach to approximately 1.8 meters in length, so it does support any work you've got on there quite well. Let's have a look at the saw itself. 255mm blade. You've got a 4-meter mains cable, which is handy, so you can get away from the old sockets quite well, which I'm going to find very handy. Some of the functions here, that's on-off switch for the laser, which is mounted just under the saw. I turn it on, laser on, laser off. Doesn't look mega bright. We'll have to see when it's up and running, see how actual good that is. Hopefully it'll be okay. If not, I'll have to turn the lights off when I'm cutting. This lever here, ambidextrous. So I'm left-handed. You may have seen an earlier video. So I wouldn't say they're thinking of me, but it's going to be more functional because I use my left hand. Push that down, then you can deploy the saw blade. So that's quite nice. I haven't got to learn to use it the other way round or anything. And just under here is a trigger to switch the blade on and off. We'll just fire the blade up now, or the motor up now. Forgive the noise. 1, 2, 3. So there's a nice slow start, which to me is like, oh yeah, that's nice, that's professional. But also is electronic brake on it, so it slows down very, very quickly. You watch again. I do keep referencing the old Rage 3S I've got, the Evolution saw. That's just on or off, and it takes 10 seconds to slow down to stop. Now when I've cut in steel, if you start moving it before the saw blades has stopped, that's going to cause you problems. It bites into the metal and you get all sorts of problems. You want to let the blade stop before you start moving your metal around. Thankfully with this, within a second or two, it has stopped. You may have saw the dust collection bag here blowing in the wind when the saw was on. Only any good for wood. If you're going to cut metal, then you take that off, otherwise you're going to have a fire on your hands. There is an adapter that comes with it that'll go to a shop vac if needed, which is handy. On the saw itself, when you're using the bevel cut here, these back stands, let me just get a better picture, they're on both sides. When you swing the saw down, it would hit here, but on the back, the little lever, you can slide that out, do it back up, and it'll give full access for the saw to come down to its 45 degrees. Exactly the same on here, because this is a double Mitre saw, remember, which is, it'll swing left or right, which is another reason for me having it. You can get it so it's just single Mitre, but this is double, which is what I'm thinking is good. Let's go round here. Is there anything I can show you? You've got a cable tidy built in, so when you finish with your cable, it'll wrap around here, so you can put all your saw to bed quite happily. Lever on the top, or adjust a knob on the top. If you don't want the saw to slide backwards and forwards, lock that up and you're good. If I push the ambidextrous lever here, the saw will come down. If I can hold that down with one hand, there's a pin there, push that in, and that's your saw lock down. So that's all good. I'd suggest when you mounted it on the stand, you have the saw to the front. I found that easier to mount it onto the stand. That it seemed a little bit more level. I may change my mind over time, but it seemed to balance the saw well. And I'd suggest you put the saw down, lock it before you start moving it on the stand. Then it's a smaller unit. You've got a handle on the back, you've got a handle on the front. So when you are manhandling it onto the stand, I'd use those. The locking levers to latch it onto the stand are here. Lift those up. You got another one at the back. Sorry, another one to the right. You've got two in all. Latch them up, tip the saw backwards, and it'll unclip from here. Then you can lift it away. It sort of hooks up round the back, hooks onto the stand, then the lever as you pull that down, it clamps on the front. So there is a halfway house between having it too tight and too loose. At the moment I can slightly slide it on the stand. If there's an adjuster on the back here, same on the other side, to alter the angle of the hook here. If you have it too tight and you want to unlatch it, it won't come off. You can't get it off the stand. So at the moment that's as tight as I can get it and be able to remove it from the stand. So yeah, that's kind of one thing I have found with it. Let's see, I'll put this on a tripod, otherwise I can't move the mitre and the bevel on the saw. So we'll go to a tripod and I'll give you a couple more little insights to the saw. I'll see if I can explain the bevel and the mitre cuts to you a little bit more. There's a locking lever right at the back there which fully locks the head up when you've set the angle you need to on the bevel. But you pull that lever out there, and this will swing to the left or the right, hence a double bevel. Now you slide this over, I'll go this way with it, you probably can see it better. You've got the little pointer there, it'll stop at 33.9. And I thought, oh, what's going on there? But apparently if you set the bevel to 33.9 and you set the mitre to 31.6, which you have a D10 position for, that allows you to cut tall cornice mouldings. I've learned something today, I didn't know that. So you've got that functionality if you wish to. I'm probably not going to use that, but it is there. But it stops at 33.9. Let me move that out the way. But there's a lever here, silver lever. Just take the pressure off that. Pull that lever out and you've got the full 45-degree angle of the bevel cut. So that's a nice little feature. They just stay pulled out and everything's replicated. You've got left or right, they're exactly the same. Another little feature, if you pull this lever out, it'll slide to the left, it'll slide to the right, but as you bring it back it stops. It's effectively a D10 position. When you're moving right to left it just avoids it, but when you're moving to left to right it stops on 0. Then with the locking lever at the back you can lock the head up fully. So that's what I'm liking. You've got depth stop going on here, depth stop adjuster. I've used those in the past, never found them terribly good, but you know, yeah, it will work. One thing is quite nice on this. Forgive me, I'm referencing back to the Rage 3S. You got something like that, and you got to twiddle it all the way down, twiddle it back up to get the setting right. You still have to twiddle it all the way up and all the way back, but let's pretend we have set that to a particular depth we want, depth of cut. There, okay, yeah, do the repetitive cuts, fine. If you want to keep that depth, there's a lever there you can move out the way. Now it avoids that end stop, so you can quickly go back to your repeatable depth, which could be very handy. We'll see, but that's another function. There's probably other bits I've missed on here. As I say, literally it's out of the box today. I've got nothing to cut with it, I'm afraid, at the moment. I've got a project coming up in the next couple of days, so hopefully we'll fire this up, I'll get used to it, and I'll come back with a run up on a second video just to show you all the bits I've missed this time. One feature I will point out in case I forget, you got a 6 and a 4mm Allen key. That's to take the blade off and put these side skirts on. That sits in the back of the device. A lot of saws have got them. I think the Rage has, the Rage 3, but this sits in a rubber grommet. So basically it's not going to shake loose, you're not going to lose it, it's always going to be there. So look, that's the best I can do with the video at the minute. I've shown you all the features I can actually see. I'm just looking around if I've missed anything. I'll clearly quickly show you. I think that's about it. Let me run it. I'll come back to you in a week or so with it in full use, and I can tell you all the sort of pros and cons on it. But initially it looks good. Very happy with what I've seen so far, particularly like the electronic brake on the saw blade. That's going to be very, very handy, and you know, you're going to get more work done quicker. So yeah, I'll crack on with the projects. I'll come back to you soon. If you found this useful or helpful, then please give me a thumbs up, leave any comments you wish, and subscribe, because you got part 2 coming up on this, plus a lot of other videos I've got in the pipeline. So yeah, thanks for watching.